Less than 2 weeks ago, we fulfilled the obligation of V'higadita levincha, the mitzvah to transmit the story of the Exodus, of our redemption from Egypt and the formation of the Jewish people. Tonight, we fulfill a very different obligation of transmission. I am a child of a Holocaust survivor. My father, Zichrono Livracha, born in Lodz, was in the Lodz ghetto for 5 years before being transported to Auschwitz and then Dachau. I've always considered it a privilege to be raised in the home of a survivor. A dubious privilege, to be sure, but in my mind, a privilege nonetheless. My connection to Jewish life in Eastern Europe ran deep. It was in my blood. My life was shaped by stories which celebrated Jewish life before the Shoah, communicated the horrors of the war, and inspired admiration through stories of survival. Over the course of this year, 7 SAR high school students have been given this gift of transmission. It is a difficult gift to receive, indeed, but it is the gift of a lifetime, a truly transformative experience. Each week, students, survivors, the Selfhelp team, faculty shared of themselves, their lives, their experiences. Each person reshaped the life of the other in deep and profound ways. Their presentation this evening brings to life that act of transmission itself. In a sense, it is the embodiment of all that they have shared over the course of this year. It is, at the same time, serious, somber, and also a celebration of life. I take the opportunity to express my deep appreciation to the survivors, the students, to Selfhelp Community Services, to UJA Federation, to all of our sponsors, and to the wonderful faculty, Rabbi Kenny Birnbaum, Ms. Dorit Katzenellenbogen, to Roni Miller, Jessica Ash, and Michaela Goldman for making all of this possible. It is truly a remarkable achievement. Before I introduce the next speaker, I would be remiss if I did not, as odd as it sounds, announce one birthday. One might instinctively think that this is an odd thing to do on an evening like this. Let me explain. Mr. Lou Bravman is celebrating his 90th birthday. In reserving his seats for this evening's program, Mr. Bravman commented, "What better place to be for my 90th birthday than at SAR, where I belong?" It is precisely that spirit of remembrance, of transmission, and of rebuilding that defines Mr. Bravman in all that he does. It is precisely that spirit that we commemorate this evening. And in that spirit of this evening, we wish you, Mr. Bravman, a happy birthday, good health, and much nachat. We are so pleased that you decided to join us here this evening together with your wife, Lotta. Thank you so much for being here. I would like, please note that at the conclusion of the program, there will be a minyan for Ma'ariv in the Beit Midrash up on the second floor, 5 minutes after the program. At this time, I would like to introduce to you 2 people. First, Mr. Eric Goldstein, CEO of UJA Federation and a parent of 2 SAR high school alumni, followed by Mr. Victor Weiler, the co-chairman of Selfhelp Community Services. We are grateful to both of you and your organizations for the tremendous support that we received in order to be able to make this program possible. It is my honor to call up Mr. Goldstein, followed by Mr. Weiler. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you, Rabbi Hartstock. As Rabbi Hartstock mentioned, I'm the proud parent of 2 SAR high school graduates, so it's particularly meaningful to be here commemorating Yom HaShoah with you. UJA Federation is privileged to be the primary funder of WiTNESS Theater, a project that began in Israel, was first performed in New York 2 years ago at the Yeshiva Flatbush, and this year has expanded to productions with students at Heschel and Trinity High Schools, and of course here at SAR. As we gather here this evening, there are simultaneous WiTNESS Theater performances taking place at the JCC of Manhattan and at the Yeshiva Flatbush. I must acknowledge and thank Selfhelp. Selfhelp is the largest provider of services to Holocaust survivors in North America and a UJA Federation beneficiary agency. They were instrumental in first bringing WiTNESS Theater to New York. Our sincere thanks. To understand the importance of WiTNESS Theater and why UJA Federation is so deeply committed to this project, it's important to understand that in 2015, 70 years after the liberation of the concentration camps, we are at an important crossroads when it comes to remembering the Shoah. For most of us, over the course of our lives, we have had direct, powerful links to survivors. Many of our relatives lived through the Shoah. We've heard their personal stories. We know, we've heard the memories and learned the lessons of the Shoah, and they're instilled deeply within us. But for younger generations, and particularly for those not yet born, what is so close to us will seem to them to be the stuff of history, long ago and far away. As a community and a people, we must look for ways to keep the stories of the Shoah alive, to bear witness for those who can't, and to teach the history and lessons of the Holocaust to the next generation in ways that powerfully resonate. That's what WiTNESS Theater is all about. For the students, it's about connecting in a very real way to the stories. And for the survivors, it's about finding some measure of peace and knowing that what they lived through will not be forgotten. And the generational bond being created between student and survivor is extraordinary to see. It's in programs like this that we make good on our promise to never forget. But it's important to remember that as a community, we have another obligation that's equally pressing, and that's to never abandon. People are often surprised to learn that there are 60,000 Holocaust survivors currently living in New York, and tragically, nearly half of them live in poverty, and many are entirely alone. If there were ever a people deserving of our communal kindness, it is those who, for the sake of their Jewishness, were subjected to unimaginable horror. And as they age, what they endured weighs on them even more. While the total populations of survivors is declining, the cost of their care is escalating as their needs become more complex. In fact, the need to care for survivors is not expected to abate until 2025. It's why in 2004, UJA Federation created the Community Initiative for Holocaust Survivors, which raises funds specifically targeted to care for survivors. We've since raised more than $17 million to support survivors' urgent needs. I'm confident that this evening's program will move you, and I hope you will share their experiences and the stories that you hear with others. Equally important, caring for survivors is not just something we should think about on Yom HaShoah. It's something we need to continue to make possible as a community every day. It is among our most sacred obligations.
Good evening. Thank you, all of you, for being here this evening. Thanks to SAR High School for welcoming us. I'd like to tell you a word about Selfhelp, which was established by German emigres in 1936 as the war clouds descended over Europe and refugees arrived from Germany and other countries. They came without belongings, and most of them without English. They came during the war, and the survivors came after the war. It has been our mission from the beginning, and it is our mission today to serve every survivor who needs service. We will act as the last surviving relative to the last survivor. And at this point, as people age, their needs are greater, and coupled with the ordinary problems of aging, they had their special wartime experience. This WiTNESS theater was introduced to us, came from Israel, and we were eager supporters. There was one performance in each of the first 2 years, and this year we've been very fortunate to get extensive funding from UJA as well as the Claims Conference so that we have additional performances, 3 throughout the city this evening and tomorrow. This is a wonderful experience for the elderly, who, by the way, are all Selfhelp clients whom we're proud to serve, for the youth participating, and for us to really hear the story, perhaps for the first time, for many again. Thanks to all of you who've made this evening possible, and thanks to UJA for their funding, and as well to the Claims Conference. Thank you.
I learned to love opera in Terezin, Margo shared with me. Margo Human, one of our participants in tonight's WiTNESS theater production, had been imprisoned in Theresienstadt, infamous for being a front for the visiting Red Cross. Terezin had a rich cultural life, housing some of the leading Jewish artists, musicians, and intellectuals of the day. There were concerts and lectures, poetry readings, and recitals, all while 33,500 people died of hunger, diseases, and physical and psychological exhaustion. And for an additional 84,000 men, women, and children, Terezin was also used, as in Margo's case, as a temporary stop on the way to Auschwitz-Birkenau or Bergen-Belsen. The juxtaposition of such beauty and such horror is shocking. Experiencing the extremes of the human condition, the capacity of man to create, grow, and build, as well as the ability to destroy, is truly awesome. Over the past 8 months of WiTNESS theater rehearsals, we have lived with those extremes. At our weekly sessions, we heard about the horrors of war, but we also heard stories of strength, courage, and love. The survivors shared their testimony, their unique stories of survival, while the students and staff worked to create a piece of dramatic art, not simply for art's sake, but for the sake of healing, and for the sake of sharing something deep, something personal. Horror and beauty live together side by side on stage. Tonight, all the students will be playing multiple roles. Some are roles of lost parents and siblings. Others are roles of Nazi youth and SS guards. Those characters, all human, exhibit such extremes of the human condition. For better and for worse, they are internalized. They are now part of us, and we have struggled with what that means. Sometimes we want to hold on to a character for a bit longer, and at other times, we can't wait to literally brush it off. Both don't come so easily. But there is one more set of extremes that we have also come to learn about. This group, so strong and so able, supported at its core by the ultimate survivors, is also so fragile. We have taken great joy in each other's accomplishments, and we have come to rely on each other for strength and encouragement. As a group, so much has been accomplished. So many of the ghosts of the past have been revisited and acknowledged, and yet we are acutely aware of how quickly things can change. We would like to acknowledge the presence here tonight of Liesl Rosler and Lillian Gewurtzman. Liesl, our oldest participant and a survivor born in Austria, had to leave the group due to health issues. Liesl has a wonderful sense of optimism and joy for life. She always brightened up our sessions, and we are sorry that we didn't get to complete the journey with her. Only recently did we learn that Lillian would not be able to be on stage to share her story. Lillian is a dedicated and passionate educator whose meticulous attention to detail and sense of purpose for telling the story of DPs is renowned. You will hear her story tonight as portrayed by Michaela Goldman. Lillian, your presence at our sessions was deeply missed, and we are praying for your speedy and complete recovery. I would like to conclude by thanking all of the individuals who made WiTNESS Theater possible. Beyond the recognition of the individuals and foundations mentioned in the program, I would like to thank Heidi Greenbaum for her inexhaustible dedication and devotion to helping to make this program happen. She worked tirelessly with the development team to help bring the program to SAR, and we are deeply grateful for her efforts. I would also like to thank Heidi Kane, Deborah May, Sarah Hassan, and Rachel Spinner for all of their hard work on tonight's program. Their attention to detail is remarkable and much appreciated. I would also like to personally thank the weekly staff of our WiTNESS Theater team, Adina Horowitz, Ronnie Miller, Michaela Goldman, Jessica Ash, and Dory Katzenellenbogen. With boundless energy and selfless devotion, they worked week in and week out with both the survivors and students to ensure that no detail was overlooked. They created a safe space for deep conversations to take place, and they meticulously cared for the physical and emotional well-beings of both survivors and students. I am so humbled and honored to have been part of such a caring and nurturing team, and I am so deeply grateful for your efforts here tonight and throughout the year. Finally, I would like to thank the cast of WiTNESS Theater. To the students, Jessica, Yaira, Ilan, Alan, Avi, Noadia, and Itai. You have worked so hard and have given so much of your time. You were patient, kind, and giving. It was beautiful watching you take care of each other and watching you interact with great sensitivity to the adults. And to the adults, Andy, Eveline, Sonia, Margo, Inga, and Lillian. You are so brave for jumping into this project. You didn't know what to expect. You shared openly and courageously, but always with great care, patience, and love for the students. Thank you for sharing your story with us. And so, it is my honor to invite you to join us on the final leg of our journey. We invite you to engage and participate in both the beauty and horror, strength and fragility that is WiTNESS Theater. We hope that you will be inspired and moved by the stories you are about to hear and the intergenerational group of people about to present them. Following the reading of Yechezkel's vision of dry bones, so appropriate for this occasion, it is my privilege to present to you Witness Theater.
Hayta alai yad Adonai, v'yotzi'eni b'ruach Adonai, v'yanicheni b'toch habika, v'him le'a atzamot, v'havirani alehem saviv saviv, v'hine rabot ma'od al pnei habika, v'hine yeveshot ma'od. V'yomer Eli, ben Adam, hatichiyana ha'atzamot ha'ela, v'omar, Adonai Elohim, atayadata. V'yomer Eli, Hinave al ha'atzamot ha'ela, ve'amarta alehem, ha'atzamot ha'yeveshot, shim'u devar Adonai. Ko amar Adonai Elohim la'atzamot ha'ela, hine ani mevi vachem ruach v'chitem. V'natati alechem gidim, ve'eliti alechem basar, ve'karamti alechem or, v'natati vachem ruach v'chitem, v'yadatem ki ani Adonai. V'niveti ka'asher tzuveti, v'yikol ki hinravi, v'hi ra'ash, v'tikruvu atzamot etzem el atzmo. V'ra'iti, v'hine alehem gidim uvasar Allah, v'yikram alehem or milmala, v'ruach ein bahem. V'yomer Eli, hinave el haruach, hinave ben Adam, ve'amarta el haruach, ko amar Adonai Elohim, me'arba ruchot boi haruach, u'fichi v'harugim ha'ela, v'yichyu. V'nabeti ka'asher tzivani, v'tavo v'hem haruach v'yichyu. V'yamdu al raglehem, chayil gadol me'od me'od. V'yomer Eli, ben Adam, ha'atzamot ha'ela kol beit Yisrael, hema. Hine omrim, yavshu atzmotenu, ve'avda tikvatenu, nigzarnu lanu. Lachen, hinave v'amarta alehem, ko amar Adonai Elohim, hine ani poteach et kivrotechem, ve'leti etchem mikivrotechem ami, ve'veti etchem el admat Yisrael. V'yadatem ki ani Adonai, b'fitchi et kivrotechem, uv'haloti etchem mikivrotechem ami. V'natati ruchi v'chem v'chitem. V'hinachti etchem al admatchem, v'yadatem ki ani Adonai. Dibarti v'asiti neum Adonai.
What if it's too painful? Inge, you're not alone. We all have each other.
And you have us. Let us help you remember.
I was born in 1921 in Heidelberg, Germany, and I grew up in a small town nearby. I lived with my mother, father, and younger sister, Margo. We were one of only 11 Jewish families in our town, and we had a good relationship with our Christian neighbors. All of that changed when Hitler came into power. I was 14 years old when Hitler Youth rallies began tearing through our town.
When the Jewish blood flows from our knives,
everything will be much better.
When the Jewish blood flows from our knives,
everything will be much better.
When the Jewish blood...
Hey, dirty Jew!
You think we
Look
can't
at
feel that?
her! You dirty Jew! Dirty Jew!
I couldn't understand why they hated me so much. Soon after the Nazis closed down all Jewish-owned businesses, including my father's, it was getting more and more dangerous to live. My family and I locked ourselves in our home and closed the shutters, but we couldn't escape the daily Hitler Youth rallies. Realizing how bad things were getting, my parents decided that it would be safer for me to go to America. I was only allowed to take one trunk with clothing and no more than $5. An SS officer watched my father pack.
We know you can't take much, but your father, your sister, and I decided to get you this gift. Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. Thank you.
All the American girls have dresses just like that. It's perfect, Inga.
Well, I'll take good care of it, I promise.
And when you wear it, you'll know we're with you.
Then I'll never take it off.
Don't worry, girls. We'll all move to America very soon to be together. I promise.
My parents never would join me overseas. I did not know it then, but this would be one of our last moments together. I boarded a ship to America and spent the 10-day trip sobbing. I was lonely, homesick, and nervous about what the future held. I arrived in America at the age of 17 and had a hard time adjusting to my new life. In 1940, I found out that my family was moved to a concentration camp in France. I was able to correspond with them through the Red Cross, but I missed them tremendously.
Dear Muda and Papa, it was so wonderful receiving your letter.
Remember, Inge, don't tell them how much you miss them. You don't want them to worry.
Life in America is great. I've made so many wonderful friends. We're always going out to parties, to the movies, and bowling. They keep me so busy that I barely have any time to myself.
After the movie, let's go to Harry's party.
Yeah, I heard everyone's gonna be there.
It's gonna be so much fun.
You're doing great, Inge. Now don't mention how overwhelmed you are at your nannying job.
I found a job taking care of 2 lovely, polite, and respectful children. They're so well behaved that it hardly feels like work.
And whatever you do, don't tell them you're too embarrassed to wear your beautiful white dress.
I wear my white dress all the time, and I've gotten so many compliments on it. Oh, wow. Is that an old family heirloom? It's lovely.
No, it's nothing.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'll be down in a minute to give the children a bath.
I wish I could have told my parents that I was miserable and homesick, but I didn't want them to worry. But little by little, my life started to improve. I began meeting American teenagers and going to night school to study English and housekeeping. Eventually, I got a job in the garment district. I met my husband Nathan in 1943 when I was 21 years old, and we were married 6 months later. Nathan's family was also stuck in Germany, so we understood one another in a way that others could not.
Another letter came from my parents today.
Really? What does it say?
We have just been told that we must head east. Luckily, they're allowing Margo to stay in France. We're not sure where we are being taken, but please don't worry about us. We will write as soon as we can. All our love, Papa and Muda. Where do you think they're being taken, Nathan?
I don't know.
Moving east. Do you think that's bad?
I don't know. We must hope for the best, Inga.
You're right.
I saved all my parents' letters in a box, and I added this one to the collection. We kept waiting to hear for the next letter to arrive, but it never did. Nathan and I tried to stay hopeful, but as more time passed, I started to fear the worst. The following year, when I was 24, I gave birth to a baby girl.
She's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
I know. I can't believe she's ours.
What should her name be?
Let's name her Carol, after my mother.
You mustn't say that, Inga.
I want her name to be carried on.
There's still a chance that her parents are alive. We can't give up hope.
You're right. But you did have an Aunt Carol, though. What if we name her after your aunt?
All right. A lovely name for a lovely little lady.
All this time, I had communicating with my sister Margot, and in 1946, she was finally able to come to America. It had been 8 years since I last saw my little sister, and in that time, she grew into a young woman. Our reunion was extremely emotional, and I was overjoyed to have Margot with me, safe at last.
So that's when Muda and Papa were taken to Auschwitz concentration camp.
Then what happened?
They never made it out. Stop, Margot. I can't listen to this anymore.
Wait, Inga.
It's too painful. I can't bear it.
It's okay, Inga. I'll listen for the both of us. Just go rest.
Eventually, I was able to take in Margot's full story. I grieved then for my family and for the millions of others who perished. Then I closed up the box of my parents' letters and put it on the top shelf of my closet to be able to move on with my life. To be able to live, I could never look at the letters again. So there they remain to this day. I was born in Germany in 1931, and I grew up in Brussels, Belgium. I lived in a loving, comfortable home with my mother, father, and younger sister, Honey. We went to school with all sorts of children. We always had food to eat, and we never had to struggle. I was a tomboy, and I remember loving to ride the merry-go-round near my house. I craved the feeling of liberating it gave me once I got on that horse. I never wanted to stop spinning, but the freedom and ease I felt in my early life came to an abrupt halt when I was 10 years old. My father woke me up one morning and told me that we were leaving for Paris immediately. We quickly piled into a cab and that left Brussels behind. When we got to the Parisian border, our driver could not take us further.
The border guards are stricter than at home. I don't think they'll let us through.
Quick, Sonia, give the pillow to your mother. Now, Dora, put the pillow under your shirt. Listen to me, girls. We are going to pretend that your mother is pregnant. Hopefully the guards will take pity on her and let us through. Can you make believe?
Yes, Papa.
Excuse me, officers. My family and I would like to cross the border. As you can see, my wife is very pregnant. Will you take pity on her and let us through?
You may pass.
I didn't realize how incredible it was at the time, but my father came up with this brilliant plan, and in mere seconds, he was so quick on his feet. We stayed in a hotel in Paris for 3 months, but once we realized that the Nazis were there as well, we decided to return to Brussels. I wish I could say that it was good to be home, but my life in Brussels was changing dramatically.
Hey, Paul.
What are you wearing? Are you Jewish?
Yeah, but wait, Paul, where are you going? You're my
Not
best
anymore,
friend.
you dirty Jew.
I lost my best friend because of that star. I was confused, I was destroyed, and I was furious. I ran home and took out all my anger on my mother.
Sonia, hold still!
No, I won't wear the stupid star anymore. You can't make me.
Sonia, you don't understand. Your mother wants the best for you.
I don't care what Hitler does to me. I'm not wearing it anymore.
She wants to protect you. It's not her fault.
Just get off of me.
Wait, Sonia!
I wish now that I could apologize to my poor mother, but I didn't understand. I was just a child. Things continued to get worse for the Jews. One morning in 1943, when I was 11, my father left on a business trip. When we didn't return, my mother and I went to look for him. We returned to Brussels, empty-handed. We were told that the Gestapo was in our house. The very next day, I was put in a convent and renamed Michelle. My sister Honey eventually joined me there as well.
Dear God, as you know, I'm a Jew, so I don't really belong at Mass. In fact, I don't belong in this convent at all, and I truly hate it here. It's dark, the nuns are scary, and I'm so hungry. But listen, God, I'll make you a deal. If you promise to bring my father home safely, I promise I'll become a Catholic. Amen.
I kept threatening to run away. Fearing for our safety, my mother somehow convinced the director of the vacant summer camp to take in Honey and me. Once there, we went to school and had some semblance of a normal life. Still, I I lived in constant fear.
Honey, did you hear that?
What?
It sounded like footsteps.
Sonia,
I think it's the
didn't-
Gestapo.
Sonia, it's not the Gestapo. I didn't hear a thing. For the last time, go to sleep.
I had countless sleepless nights at the camp. Then in 1945, when I was 13, we finally heard over the radio that we were liberated. Our mother picked us up that very same day, and we all joined the tremendous celebration on the Avenue Boulevard en Spac in Brussels.
Viva America!
We were all overjoyed that we survived, but at the same time, our emotions were mixed. We had lost someone, and my father was still missing. There were blackboards that listed our name of survivors of concentration camp. Every night, my family and I hoped to find my father's name on the list.
I said, oh, I knew.
After 3 months, we realized that my father was not coming home. It was up to my mother, my sister Hani, and me to rebuild our life on our own.
I was born in Hungary in 1930, and I grew up in Yugoslavia with my mother, father, and 2 older brothers. I had 2 younger sisters who died at a young age. My family was extremely religious, and my 2 brothers and I went to Cheder to learn Hebrew, Chumash, and Talmud. At my public school, there were many fights between the Jews and the Hungarians. A few of the Gentiles in my class secretly gave me moral support, but the Hungarian bullies picked on the Jewish and the weaker Jewish kids. Some of my teachers encouraged and even instigated this anti-Semitism. So from my very early age, I learned the importance of fighting back.
Hey, dirty Jew!
Little gods, mir helfen.
What was that? Yo, die. We're gonna hang you from a tree.
Hey! Leave him alone! Run, Mayor!
But
Go, I can handle this!
You wanna fight us yourself, prize killer? Bad move. You know that even if you win, we'll just get someone bigger to beat you up.
I know, but it'll be well worth it.
Suit yourself.
Yugoslavia was being pressured by Germany to take their side in the war. We knew that even if Yugoslavia resisted, Germany would invade and things would get worse for the Jews. The handwriting was on the wall.
Tata, I had a terrible dream.
What is it, Auntie?
I dreamt that there was a German soldier on the Bulgarian border. He was holding a pistol, and instead of bullets, blood shot out in full force. This is going to be a bloody war, Tata, I know it.
Auntie, I'm sorry that you had a nightmare.
We have to join the partisans with the Serbs.
What? Absolutely not!
We have to show those dirty Germans that Jews can stand up for themselves.
Shh. Don't speak that way. Someone will hear you. We are staying right where we are. We must trust in Hashem. He will protect us. Do you understand?
In 1941, when I was 11, the Hungarians invaded Yugoslavia and joined the German effort. In 1944, the Germans took over Hungary, and all the Jews had to wear yellow stars. We were not allowed on the street and were arrested and deported. My family and I were put on a cattle car with thousands of others from our region. We traveled without water and many without food and water, and many died along the way. After 3 days, the train stopped and my family was removed and chosen for forced labor. I was starving and absolutely desperate.
Excuse me, comrade.
Yes?
Do do you think you could spare some food? I can't bear the hunger pains any longer.
You know, I could kill you for even asking.
I know. I figured you'd either kill me for asking or give me food. Either way, it would put me out of my misery.
All right. Don't tell anyone, but I still have my ration of bread from the day. Here, take it, quickly.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll share this with my entire family. Thank you.
In 1945, when I was still 14, my family and I were taken to Theresienstadt ghetto. The ghetto housed many artists, members of intelligentsia, and there were concerts, lectures, and theater productions mounted often. We did simple manual labor and were not abused. Even so, conditions were awful and the hunger was agonizing. Many people died from typhoid and other illnesses, and many were sent to Auschwitz. The Red Cross would come to visit, and when they did, we were forced to pretend that life in Theresienstadt was great.
And here's our pharmacy. As you can see, we have medications, toiletries, and periodicals.
Very nice.
The stores are for display only. There is nothing to buy. Just go inside and look around.
Oh, and here are two of our inmates carrying bread. As you can see, the food here is plentiful.
Indeed.
They've been carrying the same bread back and forth all day. There is no food here.
And here is our newly renovated restroom. It has modern, state-of-the-art appliances.
Wow, that's really quite lovely.
The water is disconnected. You can't actually use the restroom. It's entirely for show. We wanted to tell the Red Cross what the ghetto was really like, but the Nazis warned us we do be sorry. I remained in Theresienstadt and worked at night shift. One night, on May 9, 1945, my friend ran in, excited and out of breath.
Alter Yid, stop working right this minute.
Why? What happened?
We're liberated. We're finally liberated. They opened the gates and everyone is screaming, hugging, and dancing in the streets.
Hala istenek.
Yes. Okay, you'll never believe this. I saw a Russian soldier holding a gun to a Nazi's head. It was the most beautiful sight. Come on, let's go join the celebration.
I celebrate May 9, the day of my liberation, every year. It's the day I was reborn. Liberation was thrilling, but 2 days later, Theresienstadt was quarantined because of the typhoid epidemic. When the quarantine ended, trains were sent to take us back home. I went ahead of my family, and the train I took was packed with soldiers. I climbed up to the packed roof.
Here we go.
There's a steel banister in front of us. Let's brace ourselves.
Better hang on tight.
I'm so tired.
You have to keep yourself awake.
I can't. I have to close my eyes for a bit.
Don't lose your grip.
I won't.
I drifted off my sleep to sleep. I don't know how long I was sleeping, but I wake suddenly with a start.
Where's everybody?
They're all gone.
What do you mean? Did I miss a stop?
No, kid.
What happened?
They all either fell or were knocked off the train.
What?
Some died from the fall. Others were run over by the train afterward.
They're dead? Even
him. It's just you and me, kid.
The war was over, but I was still battling death at every turn. The steel banister saved my life. I finally made it home, and I discovered that the anti-Semitism in my hometown had not subsided. My fight was not yet done.
Hey, you!
Here we go again.
Christ killer! You should have been killed off by the war. Why'd you come back?
I came back to be a thorn in your eyes, and when I get a chance, I'm gonna kill you.
I never got that opportunity, but I'm sure he slept with one eye open from that point on. A few weeks later, my family joined me, and we began the work of rebuilding our lives.
I was born in 1928 in Hellenthal, Germany, and my family moved to Bielefeld in Westphalia, near Hanover, Germany, when I was 8. I lived comfortably with my mother, father, and younger sister Laura. We kept a kosher home, but we were not very observant. I felt more German than Jewish. My father fought in World War I, and my family had deep German roots going back to the 17th century. My fondest childhood memories are of visiting my grandparents' homes. My grandfather, Leo, had a cigar factory and a peach garden. Sometimes my cousins, my sister, and I would cause trouble by stealing his tobacco and his fruit. I was the oldest, and I'll admit, I was often the instigator.
64, 65, 66. Some of my peaches are missing. Those troublemakers are at it again.
He's coming, Margo.
Quick, hide the peaches.
I happened to be out in the garden and I noticed that a few of my peaches were missing. You wouldn't have to know anything about that, would you?
Maybe the neighbor's dog got to them?
Maybe. Luckily, I have magical detective skills. Did you know that? Well, I do. I can tell who stole the peaches just by touching one of you on the nose. Let's see if it works. Wait, don't!
It was us. We stole your peaches.
We confess.
We confess!
Life was good back then. I swam, played soccer, and was a social butterfly. I can remember no anti-Semitism, but in November of 1938, Kristallnacht changed everything. Schools were burned and businesses were destroyed. A few weeks later, I was expelled from school for being Jewish, and I was forced To stay home, lonely and bored. My neighbors kept being taken away by the police, and in June of 1943, when I was 15, my family was shipped to Theresienstadt ghetto. That's where I met the person who would become my saving grace during the war, my lifelong friend, Dieter.
Hey, you look lost. Are you new here? What's your name?
Margo.
Hi, Margo. I'm from Vienna. Where are you from?
Germany.
Well, Margo from Germany. I'm Dieter from Vienna, and you can stick with me.
I was happy back in Theresienstadt. We were always hungry, but we kept busy and were not mistreated. But in May of 1944, my family was loaded into a cramped cattle car with little food, no toilet, and no idea where we were going. After 2.5 days, we arrived in the family camp of Birkenau, the extermination camp of Auschwitz. Although the men and women were forced into separate barracks, we saw one another every day until...
Rose! Rose, moving out of your bunks now!
What's going on?
Line up, schnell, let's go!
My mother, my sister, and I were herded into a line facing an SS officer. My father watched nearby.
Right. Left. Right.
I had no idea that right meant life and left meant death. I didn't know that this was the last time I would see my family. There are so many, many things I never got a chance to tell them.
Margo, I'm going to join your sister on the other line. She needs me more than you do.
Okay.
Nein, Mutti, don't leave me.
Take care of yourself.
Mutti.
This line, we're moving out.
Vati, why are you crying? I've never seen you cry before.
Be strong, Margo.
I will, Vati.
Don't. I still need you, Vati.
Vayisameach Elokim, Kisara Rivka Rachel Leah. Whatever you do, you and Dieter need to stick together.
We will, Vati. We will.
Schnell!
I shall miss you all. Just like that, they were gone from my life. I never got to say goodbye. Dieter and I were taken with a transport of 500 women to Hamburg, Germany, as forced laborers. Every morning we were put on a barge and brought to work in a factory. We were hungry, cold, and tired, but we were together, surrounded by nature.
I'm freezing in this rain.
Come here. We'll keep each other warm.
Wow, Dieter, look. The sun is rising. It's so beautiful.
They tried to strip us of our dignity, but we managed to hold on to our humanity. We were able to appreciate the beautiful sunrise despite the rain and the cold. During that time, there were also some kindnesses shown to us. German officers and families risked their lives to give us food and water. And after 2 months, we were happy when the bombings began. We knew it meant that allies were approaching. Still, it was a scary, devastating time.
Dita, get down! I'm too tired to go to the shelter again.
I'll stay with you. Oh my God, there's an arm! In someone's foot! Don't look, Margo! Tita, what if we don't make it?
Margo, we're going to make it.
The bombings worsened, and I began to ache for my parents. But in all the horror, I had Dita, and Dita had me. We had someone to live for, and that knowledge kept us alive. In March of 1945, we were marched through the icy snow with nothing but rags on our feet.
I can't walk anymore, Margo.
Tita, you can't stop. They'll shoot you.
Just leave me here, Margo.
Tita, I won't leave you here. Get up. Get up!
After 2 days of non-stop walking, we arrived at Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. We were greeted by piles of dead bodies lined up along the trees. Whatever people tell you about Bergen-Belsen, they cannot convey how bad it was. Bergen-Belsen was hell. There were 6 or 7 children per bunk, and there was no food, no water. Every morning we removed the dead from our bunk. In these brutal conditions, I contracted typhoid and became very ill. Dita cared for me and tried to keep me alive.
You're going to get much better, Margo. And when all this is over, we'll go to a beautiful island together. And we'll swim and eat delicious berries and watch the sunrise. You'll see.
On April 14th, 1945, a voice came over the loudspeaker telling us that the British had entered the camp. The next day, we were liberated and told to come to the hospital stations that had been set up. I was so sick with typhoid that I couldn't know what was going on around me. But at 17 years old, I still had a strong will to live, and I was going to fight until the bitter end.
Is this the hospital station?
Yes, what's your nationality?
German.
We don't help Germans here.
But I'm Jewish.
We don't help Germans here.
Is this the hospital station?
Yes. What's your nationality?
I'm Czech.
I was unconscious for 5 days. I woke up briefly and saw a cross and rosary beads above my head. I managed to protest, "No, I'm Jewish," before losing consciousness again. After 12 days, I finally came to. I had survived. I was born in Paris, France, in 1932. I lived with my mother, my father, and my older sister, Rachel. I have wonderful memories of singing with my family, going to the movies, receiving candy from my father every Friday, and eating my mother's delicious bubblers. But my childhood ended in 1940 when the Germans invaded France. My family fled Paris for a small village in central France. It was clear then that everything had changed.
Papa, you look so different.
I know, Eveline. My hair turned gray overnight. I've never seen anything like it.
How did that happen?
From stress, Eveline. From being worried and sad.
But why are you sad? There's an armistice. Doesn't that mean the war is ending?
Yes, but our war is just beginning. There's a very bad man in charge now named Adolf Hitler. He doesn't like the Jews, and it's going to be very dangerous for us all.
I felt like I had aged along with my father. My childhood now, a thing of the past. My family fled to Lyon in southern France. It was governed by the French state, so it was safer than the Nazi-occupied areas. My father was able to find work making pocketbooks. Being French citizens, my family and I were at an advantage, and we used our advantage to help other Jews. My father made a pocketbook with a false bottom and stored false identification papers inside. My sister Rachel was part of the Jewish French resistance, and as part of her position in the network, she delivered false papers to Jews in hiding.
Rachel, here is the delivery for today.
All right, I'll be back before dinner.
Don't forget our code. Ring the bell. Twice for friends and family. Once for a stranger.
I know, Papa. I haven't forgotten.
Be careful, Rochelle.
Every time the doorbell rang, we jumped. In 1942, the Germans came to Lyon, and my family fled again, this time to the Italian-occupied Grenoble in the French Alps. The Italian army mostly left us alone. But in 1943, when I was 11, the police pounded on our door in the middle of the night.
Just wondering. This could be trouble. Quieter.
Who's at the door? Shh, keep your voice down, Eveline.
Police, open up.
Oh no, it's the police. Abram, what should we do? Do you think they'll know we're home?
We know you're in there. Open up.
Mama, I'm scared. Shh, Eveline, it's okay.
It's dark in the house. Let's just stay very quiet, and maybe they'll think we're not home.
We're coming in.
Excuse me, officer.
Yes.
I live next door. If you're looking for the family that lives here, they're not home.
Okay. I guess we won't break down the door this time. Let's try another house.
I saw the terror in my parents' eyes that night. The realization that they could not protect me shook me to my core. I wish I could comfort you and tell you it will be all right. I was so petrified that my teeth chattered all night. neighbors saved our lives, but we were no longer safe. My parents sent me to hide in a Catholic boarding school where I went to Mass, skied, and pretended to be happy. But when Jewish children were taken from a nearby convent, my parents hired a passeur to smuggle me into Switzerland. I was with a group of 10 children and a married couple. The wife was pregnant, and when she began having labor pains, the smuggler took the couple to a hotel. He left us children alone in a field behind some bushes, telling us to lie still until his return.
How long do you think we've been here?
I don't know. At least a few hours.
Freezing. I can't even feel my hands.
Here, have something hot to drink.
Quick, get down! I see German tanks passing by.
Are you cold too? Here, have some.
He crawled from child to child, sharing his hot drink. I did not know him, but in that moment, that boy was my hero. I'm still amazed by his courage and his kindness.
Thank you. Someone's coming!
Our pastor had been arrested and gave away our location to the French police who took us into custody. The officer at the station was given carte blanche to do with us as he pleased. Instead of delivering us to the Gestapo, the police took us to a boarding school at the Swiss border. From there, the female principal and her assistant risked their lives, sneaking us to the border, and we climbed the barbed wire fence to safety in Switzerland. So to me, carte blanche means that I have grandchildren. In Switzerland, I was arrested and taken to a quarantine camp where I lived in terrible conditions for 2 months. I was then bounced around between foster homes and convents. On my birthday, August 22, 1944, my parents and Rochelle were liberated in Grenoble. In March of 1945, at 12 years old, the Red Cross put me on a train to Grenoble. I arrived safely, and on my way home from the station, I spotted Rochelle in a grocery store. She was on a date.
Rochelle? Rochelle!
Evelyn!
Oh, I thought I would never see you again.
Hey, come on, you're making too much noise. Come on, get out of my store. Come on.
How are you?
How have you been?
Good. Who's that guy?
I ruined my sister's date. But I doubt she minded. I was home, and we were together again, although forever changed. I was robbed of my childhood, but the war was over now. It was up to me to reclaim my life.
With my kids. Lillian, we are very happy you are with us tonight, and this star is for you.
I was born in 1934 in Grabowiec, a small town in eastern Poland. For the first few years of my life, I was an only child, and I was the first grandchild on both sides of a large extended family. As you can probably imagine, I was spoiled and utterly showered with affection. The world was my oyster, and I believed it to be a fun and friendly place. But in 1939, during the partitioning of Poland, we found ourselves in the center of a border dispute between the Germans and the Russians. One day, bombs began to fall. My family and I huddled together in our flour mill.
It's happening just like I knew it would, Tata. I told you there would be a war.
It cannot be. Modern weapons are too strong. If there's a war, humanity will destroy itself.
It's already begun.
Tatush, what's a war?
A war, Lilia, is when people shoot at each other.
Oh. Well, what are weapons?
You ask too many questions, Lilia. Okay, I'm gonna go let the compressor out of the tank.
Heschel, no, it'll make a tremendous noise. It will draw too much attention.
That's a risk we'll have to take. If it takes a hit, it'll blow us all up. I'll be right back.
Ow, it's so loud! It's hurting my ears!
Okay, that's it.
Who's in there?
Open up!
No.
Open the door, we'll break it down! Who's in there? Spies, partisans?
Come on, let's go!
Go
Come
outside,
on!
we're
Taking them!
Quickly!
Hey!
What's happening?
No!
Lilia!
That's my Tatush! That's my Yannick! You can't hurt them!
We're not spies. There are no partisans here. We're just a Jewish family hiding at our mill.
Please leave us in peace.
I believe you. Let's go.
Lilia, what were you thinking?
What were you thinking? Looking back on it now, I feel terror. But as a 5-year-old, I didn't understand what any of it meant. I was simply teaching the soldiers that it was wrong to point a bayonet at my father, at my grandfather. I was still convinced that nobody wanted to do me harm. That changed later. We left our home, crossing the border with the Russian soldiers. Soon after, we were shipped to a Siberian logging camp. After a year of forced labor, we escaped and settled in the Ukraine. In 1941, Germany bombed Kiev. I was in kindergarten, 100 kilometers away, when suddenly air raid sirens began to blare. My flustered teacher gathered the children together, telling us it was nap time. I hated nap time. So while my classmates ran for the shelter, I snuck out back to the garden. Why are you out here alone? Don't you realize you're in danger? Get inside. I was blissfully unaware of the fact that I was watching a bombing of my own town.
Lillian, oh thank God. You scared me to death. Are you all right?
Oh, yeah. I was just eating some berries. Sorry I snuck out.
I did not comprehend the terror of what was happening. I hadn't yet seen dead bodies from explosions. I would soon understand. A few days later,
What happened?
Lilia, careful! Don't touch the shattered glass.
What happened to the windows? Why does Tatush have a bag packed?
Lilia, I'm going away.
What? Why?
I've been drafted into the army. All the Tatas have to go fight for Russia.
Well, tell them you can't go. Tell them you have to stay with your family.
It's a government order. Believe me, Lilia, I would stay if I could.
Why can't you?
I'm sorry. You be a good girl now. Okay? Help your mother with your brother, you hear?
No, Tatush!
I'll be home as soon as I can. I love you.
my father was gone. After that, the air raids worsened. During each attack, we took cover in the underground shelters, and I was terrified that the buildings would collapse, trapping us beneath the rubble. To this day, confined underground spaces frighten me.
That's the siren! Lilia, quick, to the shelter! Are you all right? We have to get out of here. There's a boat taking the families of soldiers somewhere safe, away from the Germans. We have to leave right now. Come on, quickly, go.
I was 7 years old when fleeing the Ukraine with my mother and baby brother. We made it to the evacuation ship and boarded together.
Mama, help me.
Okay, 1 second. Give me your hand. Watch your step. Stay close to me, Lilia. Okay. You okay?
We were just getting settled when...
Oh no, I forgot the linens. Here, Lilia, take your brother.
But...
I'll be right back.
But...
The moment my mother stepped off the ship, it began to pull away.
Mama?
Lilia?
Mama?
Lilia!
Mama!
Children, help! Lilia!
I was clutching my baby brother to my chest and screaming for my mother, terrified that I would never see her again. Our desperate cries must have shaken the captain because by some miracle, he turned the boat around.
Mama!
Lilia!
Mama! Mama!
Oh, my children. Thank God. My children.
We were together, and we were safe for one fleeting moment. Just as we got our bearings, the German bombers arrived.
Lilia, get down!
Look! I can see the pilots! I can see their faces!
Lilia, I said get down! Cover your head!
Mama, we're going to die.
Look at me, Lilia. We are not going to die.
The German planes were flying so low that we could see the faces of the pilots inside. They were smiling, delighted to be killing innocent women and children. After our boat ride, my family was dumped on a train and began a long, arduous journey. We wound up in the Soviet Republic of Azerbaijan, a small town in a Muslim region. There were very few Jews, and we kept together, shared what we had, and barely survived. 1 year later, my family was reunited with my father. His return helped keep us alive. Time went on. I went to school, made friends, embraced the communist ideology, and became ashamed of my Jewish identity. When it was announced that Russia won the war and that we could return to Poland, my parents had to drag me with them. We returned in 1946, walked through Czechoslovakia, on to Austria, and made it to a DP camp in Germany. There, with the help of the shlichim from Israel, I learned Hebrew, read the Tanakh, and most importantly, I got my Jewish identity back.
We have now shared our stories of survival.
But we are so much more than merely survivors.
We have all gone to experience long lives,
filled with joy and pain,
love and loss,
triumphs and tribulations.
After moving to this country, survival was no longer our full-time occupation, and we were all able to work and contribute to society.
We discovered various passions and hobbies.
Whether it be photography,
design,
education, but most of all, we were fortunate to start family of our own.
We are blessed with the love of remarkable children.
Grandchildren.
Grandchildren.
and even great-grandchildren.
That is the greatest affirmation of life.
And prove that Adolf Hitler did not win.
And we are all still here.
We have now passed our stories on to you.
And we pass them on to all of you. Am Yisrael Chai!
Please rise. Limoli rachamim, sholchein b'amromim, hamitzei menucha nachono, al kanfei hashchino, b'malos kedoshim toharim, kizoah rokia mashirim, es kol neshamos shel sheishes milyonei haYehudim chalalei haShoah b'Europa sheneheragu shenishchatu shenisrefu v'shenispu al kiddush Hashem bidei amaratzchim hagemonim unatzim yozreihem mishoamim lochein varachamim yastireim v'seisek nofov li'olamim v'yitzro mitzro achayim es nishmoseihem Adonai hu nachalosom Began Eden tehemenu chosom V'yamdu legarolom leketz hayomim v'nomar
Thank you for joining us for WiTNESS Theater, SAR edition. The adults and cast will be right outside in the vestibule if you want to meet them afterwards. And we are concluding the program now, and there is Ma'ariv in the Beit Midrash in 5 minutes. Thank you very much.